Is that what you are going to use to stop me, mate? A flashlight?
I've been following this specific subject for many years, ever since I even started in security back in 1994. Um, my thoughts, okay, my opinion is if you really want to have security, if you really want to provide security services to your organization, then the question of having armed guards is is pretty much answered just by your decision to install security. Um, People want to sell ideas, minimize, mitigate, delay. They'll do all kinds of things in order to say, no, you don't need armed guards. In 2025, um, armed guards are a must in any security environment. Um, it's not just because of your location. It's not because of your business. It's just the way the world is now. Uh, the investment in an armed guard is a must. Getting someone that is trained, prepared mentally, physically to serve and also protect life and property is huge. There's too many former military and former law enforcement and professional security folks out there that you have no reason or no excuse why not to do it. Now, let's go into the subject of armed guards. So when we talk about what is an armed guard to you, right? Most people think it's somebody with a pistol or a shotgun. Well, that's not necessarily the point. That's not that's not it. An armed guard can be just about any type of security personnel with any new type of new technology that arms them. Okay, it doesn't have to always be a firearm specifically by description. It could be just about anything, but it reaches from less than lethal to a lethal force. Meaning, like for instance, a good example. I showed you a few videos about 40 millimeter launchers. I shown you videos about shotguns with less than lethal rounds. There is so much technology nowadays that you don't have an excuse for not arming your staff. Okay, and I'm talking not just to security companies, but I'm talking to organizations as well. If you have an in-house program, then even better. Get the training, get the certifications that you need. You know, create your own instructors, your subject matter experts. Create a good training program that can be kept up with. This stuff is very inexpensive in comparison to the cost of life. You know, how much is a life worth to you? Okay, you look at the current like political people high up in the food chain, right? They all have armed guards and people with machine guns and helicopters. And in most cases, there's no reason behind all this security. It's just prescribed. It's just the levels, how the government or that organization has written the description on what are the standards, right? Same thing goes for every one of your employees, you, your family, and you know the life of the people that you care for. You're gonna spend money on getting a security contract. Well, do it right. Okay. The idea, the thought of armed guard, the description must change. Look at our friends in England and Britain. I can say to you that some of the stuff that they do is admirable. I believe every one of their police officers should be carrying a gun, but you know their laws, their constitution is just a certain way it's written, and it's just their standards. Not too long ago, less than about 100 years ago, there was unarmed police officers here in the United States as well. Okay, but as a result of some like Bonnie and Clyde and serious um, criminal organization interaction and killings, the U.S. has changed what their prescribed standards are when it comes to armed police officers. Same thing for you and your organization. Okay, it doesn't need to always be a firearm as well. It's this idea or this thought process when you deploy an armed guard at your location or on your property or at your organization could involve or incorporate a number of less than lethal products, okay, that are less than likely, but they can hurt somebody. But there are products and they're available to you that will decrease, minimize, or repel a potential deadly threat. Okay, always a saying about bringing a knife to a gunfight. Well, in today's age, some of this technology that's out there is comparable to a firearm. Okay, there's some absolutes with a bullet, but there are things out there as well that somebody with a firearm would probably not want to engage with two or three people carrying certain types of less than lethal or defensive style weapon systems. Let's think outside the box, everybody. Let's think outside the box. 2025 nowadays, and it's the threat's not always a firearm. In some cases, like our neighbors or friends out there in other countries, knives are very commonly used, and knives can be a threat as well. Okay, in some cases, even having a firearm with somebody with a knife that knows how to use a knife, it may be something the firearm might not necessarily stop that threat in the amount of time and distance that's required. I want you to think outside. I want you to think outside that box. I want you to think about the people you care about. Okay? Think about your children at schools. Okay? Why not? Why not have an armed guard with an extensive amount of less than lethal gear or the right kind of less lethal gear to repel or deter active shooters? Why not? In some cases, I would even say, with my family, I would like to see an armed guard with full lethal gear, with a firearm or a shotgun, or the right. But what I'm saying is, at the same point, the right type of equipment. It doesn't necessarily. It's got to be something that you consider intelligently, and that you do your homework before you deploy that weapon system in that environment. I'll tell you right now for sure, I do not like seeing AR-15s in schools. Okay? Not by aggressors or not by the good guys. And I'll tell you why. Because that round, I know that round, that 5.56 or 2.23, that round bounces around a lot. That round can ricochet off of anything, and it will kill anything it touches. Okay? Just because you aim well at center mass doesn't mean that round coming out of a rifle is not going to continue to travel. Okay, so that's why I in another video I brought up the fact of everybody should start considering using shotguns in close quarters combat and in certain environments, such as schools. Please share your thoughts. If you disagree or you think I'm just being silly, let me know. But I have the strong conviction that we have to start only deploying armed guards from now on. The story of the unarmed guard program is dead and gone. It's sunk. Okay, it's the bottom of the ocean. Today's new age requires a new type of armed guard with the right kind of equipment in order to stop threats and protect life and safety. Talk with you guys soon, and thank you for listening to me.